After several years of sobriety, Charlie drives off the cliff, and his second wife, Brooke Mueller, is there riding shotgun on his rapid descent. Before meeting Charlie, Brooke had already been to rehab multiple times.
I do know that she's certainly had her ups and downs. I can see how, you get two people that really want to have fun and they have the resources and can make it happen, they're going to do that.
But the fun ends on Christmas Day 2009, when the couple is vacationing in Aspen.
911, what's the emergency?
My husband had me with a knife, and I'm scared for my life, and he's driving me. I thought I was going to die for 1 hour.
Okay, what's your name?
Brooke.
And what's your husband's name?
It's Charlie Sheen. He's had me scared.
According to Mueller's affidavit, Charlie held a penknife to her throat after she told him she's going to divorce him. Although Mueller later tries to recant her statement, Charlie spends that Christmas in jail. Months later, Charlie would plead guilty to misdemeanor assault, and the couple would eventually divorce.
For him, that night changed the whole world.
Including how he felt about his role on 2.5 Men.
I knew that something in Charlie wasn't already too comfortable in the show. Because, he will come to me and say, I don't know, man, I'm feeling that this is a little bit monotonous for me already. It's just like, okay, what's next for me? Where can I take my acting? And I want to expand. And that wasn't happening for him. So I think it was being kind of stuck with this character.
But for the cast and crew, whose ability to pay their bills depends on the series, the show must go on.
We all just would soldier on, and we would soldier on. And we would sort of try to separate whatever's going on with Charlie outside with our job, which is to make a television show. And that became more and more trying and more of an issue.
Despite Charlie's on-set ambivalence and off-camera antics, in 2010, Chuck Lorre and the producers of 2.5 Men actually give him a pay bump while insisting he seek help with his addictions.
They encourage him to go into rehab, but at the same time this is all happening, they're giving him these obscenely huge raises.
Now making $1.8 million per episode, Charlie is the highest-paid television actor in history.
When you add that ingredient to the chemistry experiment that is Charlie Sheen, it ultimately led to trouble in Charlie's world again.
Actor Charlie Sheen is in a New York City hospital after police say he trashed a suite at the Plaza Hotel.
Staying at the hotel with him is yet another porn actress, Capri Anderson, who claims Charlie wrecked the room after trying to strangle her.
He puts his hands around my neck, and at that point I got really very, very nervous, started to struggle. He then very quickly gets off of me, picks up the lamp, and he throws it across the room and he smashes it.
Police arrived here and found Sheen incoherent. They say he was naked, appeared to be highly intoxicated, and unable to communicate in a rational manner.
In an ABC News interview a few months later, Charlie denies what Anderson says happened at the hotel.
Did you try and choke Capri Anderson?
No, read the police report. Let's deal with the facts. Or do I think I've been in jail if I did that?
We were all genuinely worried about him. And Charlie was, don't worry, I'm fine, everything's fine. And he wasn't fine. Whatever he was battling outside was starting to not just leak in, it was starting to flood in.
After the incident at the Plaza, Charlie loses all interest in his high-paying job at 2.5 Men.
He wasn't showing up for work as much. The word came down, Charlie's stand-in's gonna do the Monday table read. And what happened as we got more and more into season 8 was that the Monday table read started to become the Tuesday rehearsal as well.
Charlie's off-screen exploits are likewise troubling Chuck Lorre, who is also dealing with the emotional fallout from the recent end of his marriage to Karen Witter. He starts pressuring Charlie to join him at AA.
There was a sense, I think, like the newly converted, that his sobriety had a certain degree of self-righteousness to it, to the extent that he then becomes to really use that against Charlie.
They could see that something was changing in Charlie's personal life, so they started questioning him. And he didn't like that. He was, this is my life, this is my personal life. Just, stay on your business. I stay on my business.
I do vaguely remember somebody from the studio telling him that he needed to go to rehab. And I remember him saying, I don't need to go anywhere. Like, I don't need to go to rehab, or didn't think that you needed it to be sober. And, there's a lot of statistics that were thrown around about the success rates of, Alcoholics Anonymous and things like that. I'm Natalie Hopper, and in the 2000s, I was Charlie Sheen's live-in girlfriend and the original goddess. His character on the show was a womanizer and a drinker, and I think he felt very resentful that he was asked to change anything personally in his life, because professionally, he was hitting his marks and he knew his lines. And then he kind of felt like, so what I do when I'm off the clock is what I do when I'm off the clock.
By January 2011, ignoring the admonitions of the show's producers, Charlie continues his hard partying. He's now living with his two girlfriends he calls the goddesses. But on January 28th, for the second time in his life, he's rushed to the hospital from an alleged drug overdose. Chuck Lorre and the other executives overseeing 2.5 Men decide to act.
They actually shut down the show.
It's no longer just about Charlie's well-being. His actions are putting at risk the livelihoods of the entire cast and crew, plus the advertising and syndication deals that are driving CBS and Warner Brothers' profits.
There were 150 people who had jobs that they were counting on this work for. There was a lot at stake.
The problem is there's no morality clause in Charlie's $1.8 million per episode contract, meaning he can do whatever he wants in his private life. So from Charlie's perspective, the shutdown is a breach of contract by Chuck Lorre and CBS.
And it was in that interim that Charlie starts to call into radio shows, and then that gets attention.
Especially the one he puts into the now disgraced conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. What Charlie says to Jones about 2.5 Men creator Chuck Lorre is the first shot in what would become one of television's ugliest feuds.
I've spent close to the last decade effortlessly and magically converting your tin cans into pure gold. And the gratitude I get is this charlatan, clearly someone who believes he is above the law. Well, you've been warned, dude. Bring it.
Charlie Sheen taught us how much further we could go in our outrageous behavior.